Hello and welcome back to Animated Banners with CSS. If you haven't watched the last video yet, make sure you go back and watch it because it talks about the fonts that we're going to need for this banner and how you can download them. And once you've got them downloaded and installed, we'll be able to move forward with this video where we're going to start putting some of our text on the screen. So we're going to start with some title text up near the top that says everything is 30% off. And I want to put that on a little bit of a background rectangle. So we're going to create that rectangle first. So I'm going to come down here to the rectangle tool. And we've got our hill front and our hill back. I'm going to go ahead and minimize these layers by clicking on these little triangles over here on the right, just to hide the layer effects or the layer styles for those layers. Then I'm going to click on the topmost layer so that when we create a new layer, it will add it to the top of the layer stack. And so with this rectangle tool selected, again, I'm going to come up here to the top and make sure that in this particular drop down, that new layer is selected. And for this shape, we're going to change the fill color. So I'm going to click in the, first of all, click on this solid color, which is this black rectangle here. And actually, you'll notice if we do that, it's going to change the color of the currently selected layer. So let's hit Command, let's hit Escape actually, and that should take care of it. And instead of doing that, we'll just create a new layer first, and then we'll change these options, excuse me. So we'll turn off our stroke here. For the fill, I'm going to choose this solid black rectangle, and then we'll click on the color selector here to customize what color we want to use. And the value I'm going to use here is D0E2F6, which will give us a light blue color. We'll click on OK. And once we've got those options selected, we'll just click and drag out a rectangle up here near the top. So I'm just going to drag it all the way across till it's a little bit wider than it needs to be. And I want it to be 65 pixels tall. So we can see our little hints, our width and height hints over here as we drag it out. So we want to make sure our height is set to 65 pixels and release. And I'm going to minimize our properties here. Then I'm going to take our item here. I'm going to nudge it up to the top of the stage. Notice I've got the move tool selected now. I'm going to nudge it up to the very top, and then holding on to shift, I'm going to hit the down arrow key 3 times. And if you're holding on to shift, every time you hit the down arrow key, it will nudge it down 10 pixels. So we've just nudged it down 30 pixels, and then I'll hit the down arrow key without holding on to shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So this is now 35 pixels from the top of the screen. Then we're going to go ahead and put some text over here on the right side. So over here on the left, we're going to have alternating images. We're going to have an evergreen tree as well as a snowman. And then over here on the right, we're going to have some text for the winter sale. So we'll hit T to switch to the text tool. And the font we're going to be using for our heading text on top of our rectangle is going to be the Pathway Gothic font, Pathway Gothic 1 that we downloaded in the last video. And so let's just click and type out our text. So you'll notice if we hover over that shape, since it's a vector shape, it's giving us a insertion cursor with a dotted circle around it. And that's not the cursor we want to see. That cursor means that if we click right now, we're going to be typing on this path, on this rectangular path, and that's not what we want. We just want to create a new text layer above the current text layer. So the way we do that is just hold on to shift and then click, and that will create a new layer. So I'm going to type out our text. It's going to say everything, and it's kind of hard to see now. It's a little too big. So let's hit escape, and let's go ahead and nudge our text size down. And we're going to use a text size here of 50 point. Then we'll click here. Again, hold on to shift and then click, and we'll type in all caps again. Or we could just type in all lowercase and change it to caps here in a moment. So we'll type everything is 30% off, and then hit enter on your numeric keypad to apply those changes. V to switch to your move tool, and then we can nudge it up and down. And in order to change it to all caps, with our text tool selected, we can click up here on this icon, which will open up our character panel. And in our character panel, we can just come down here to this double T where they're both the same height. We'll click on that and it will capitalize everything. And that looks good. Now I just want to change the color of it to a darker blue. So we're going to click in the color selector up here in our text options. And the color value we're going to use here is 5F8CBF. Click on OK, and that gives us the shade of blue we're looking for. So then I'm going to hit V to switch to the Move tool. I'll nudge our text down until it's vertically centered, and then we're going to nudge it over to the right a little bit more, and that looks pretty good. Now, after we get everything on the stage, we might nudge our text around a little bit more just to space everything out and make it look nice. But for now, that looks pretty good where it is. So then I'm just going to put another piece of text down here that says Winter Sale. And we're going to use red text here, and we're going to use our Bigelow font. So we'll hit T to switch back to the text tool. And if I were to change our text options now, since we have that first text layer still selected, then it would change the text options for that currently selected layer. So instead of doing that, I'm just going to click down here and start typing out my new text, which is winter with a capital W. And you'll see that it's still all capitalized, but I only held shift down for that first letter, the W. I'm going to hit enter, and then we'll come back to our character panel and turn off that capitalize option so that now we see only the first letter is capitalized. Then we'll turn off our character panel. And then now that we've typed in our text, we'll come up here and change our text options. So I'm going to scroll all the way up to the Bigelow Rules font, and we're going to use a much larger font here. We're going to use 93 point, and the color we're going to use is going to be a red color, and the value there is EA5858. Click on OK, and there we go. So let's grab that text and let's nudge it down here. And again, we will probably end up moving this text around a little bit more after we create our image over here on the left. But for now, let's just nudge it around until we get it somewhere close to where we want it to be. And there we go. So then I'm just going to duplicate this layer by hitting Command J, and then we'll just nudge this new copy of that layer down and to the right a little bit. And then I'll hit T to switch to the text tool, and then double click on that text to change that text to sale. Enter on the numeric keypad to apply those changes, V to switch to the move tool, and then we'll just nudge it around until we get it where we want it. And for this particular font, it's kind of a fun font, so it's okay if it kind of overlaps the other text a little bit. Just make sure it does it in a way that looks good. And there we go. So now let's grab both of those layers, the winter and the sale layer. Let's just nudge these over to the right a little bit. And we might end up resizing those again later, but for now that looks pretty good. So we're actually going to have two groups of text that come onto the stage. This is going to be the first group. So the first group is going to say everything is 30% off, and down here at the bottom, winter sale. Our second group is going to say something else. So this everything is 30% off, that text is going to animate off, and the next heading is going to animate on. The winter sale text is going to animate off in different directions, and another piece of text there is going to animate on. It's going to be kind of a call to action that says click here for more information or something like that. But for now, all I'm really trying to do in Photoshop, at least with the text itself, is to get the basic look and feel down. Once we get that down, we can mess with the text in HTML and CSS. So now that we've got our initial text in place, in our next video, we're going to move forward and put some more graphics over here on the left. So thank you for watching. Let's go ahead and save our file. I'm going to save it as banner02.psd. And with that saved, we'll move on to the next video. Thank you for watching.